Welcome to Teachers College for the inaugural Charo Uceda Women's Empowerment Lecture. I first wish to acknowledge a dedicated Teachers College alumna whose own life and work embody the notion of empowerment, both for herself and others. She is an innovative educator, as well as the visionary entrepreneur who co-founded the Uceda English Institute, a network of schools that help students from all over the world learn English as a second language. She has given generously to TC over the years, especially to support master's students undergoing financial hardship. And it was her generosity and vision that made this lecture series possible. Charo Uceda, would you please rise so that we can all properly thank you? Now, Teachers College is a fitting venue for a lecture series on women's empowerment. The college was founded by the extraordinary reformer and philanthropist Grace Dodge, in large part to advance her mission to help immigrant families assimilate to American life. Grace Dodge recognized the pivotal role that women would play in their families' health and economic security. She also saw a direct link between the professional training of expert teachers, psychologists, and other health professionals and the empowerment of women. That was Grace Dodge's genius and her vision. Alumni and faculty of Teachers College have ever since have blazed trails for the advancement of empowering knowledge in education, health, and psychology. Mary Schwartz Rose and Adelaide Nutting were pioneers in the field of nutrition education. Anne Gentile revolutionized the field of movement science. Maria Torres Guzman fought for social justice, especially for ethno-linguistically marginalized groups. And it was 50 years ago that TC alumna Shirley Chisholm, who became the first Black woman elected to Congress the previous year under the slogan, "Unbought and unbossed," led the way to establishing the landmark Women, Infants, Children Nutrition Program. And of course, she made history in 1972 by becoming the first Black candidate to run for the nomination of a major party for President of the United States. We've seen considerable progress towards reaching gender equity and empowerment of women and girls, and TC faculty and alumni are in the vanguard of that movement. But society still has a long way to go towards ensuring equal rights for women in health, education, employment, and leadership, and in the eradication of gender-based discrimination and violence. Still, there are reasons to be optimistic. We have entered a new era in which women in ever greater numbers are exercising agency in their own empowerment, and that brings me to our speaker for this evening. Professor Amra Sabic-El-Rayess wears many titles, all of them with authenticity and distinction. Amra is an immigrant who has thrived in her adopted country and done her part to make our democracy stronger. She is a proud alumna from our doctoral program in comparative and international education and an accomplished scholar who is internationally recognized for her work on tribalism in government, on corruption in higher education systems, and on the foundations of social transformations and religious extremism. She is an educator and mentor whose students treasure her kindness, her patience, and empathy, and excellent counsel. And also, she's been my colleague in the Economics of Education program for several years. And I have to say, our enrollments have gone up, but I think a lot of it has to do with Amra's excellent work. So, especially as president, I appreciate that. She is an activist who has fought on behalf of oppressed and marginalized people everywhere through her work with the International Rescue Committee, Women's March Global, Women's World Banking, and International Center for Transitional Justice. She is an authority on rebuilding societies and civic institutions whose advice is sought by U.S. policymakers and the U.S. Department of State in her capacity of an educational diplomacy expert, as well as by leaders of NGOs and foreign governments. Amra is a brave and eloquent witness to the horrors of ethnic cleansing in Bosnia. As a Bosnian Muslim, she survived bombings, starvation, and psychological torture, and will tell her story to the world next year in a memoir written for both young adults and adults. The title of that book, published by Bloomsbury Worldwide, is The Cat I Never Named, a true story of war, love, and survival. Teachers College is fortunate to have Amra on our faculty. We are fortunate to have her share her story of war, survival, and redemption with us this evening. Now, after Amra's talk, she will be joined on stage for a conversation with Jane Eisner, currently the Director of Academic Affairs at the Columbia Journalism School and formerly Vice President of the National Constitution Center, the editorial page editor and nationally syndicated columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer, and more recently, the editor of The Forward. Following their conversation, there will be a brief question and answer period. Members of the audience are asked to submit their questions for Amra via Twitter using #UcedaLecture. Hope you all get that. Now, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Professor Amra Sabic-El-Rayess.